Hi there, I'm Don Dawson. Your workplace can contain both obvious and hidden hazards. They can lead to lost production, painful injuries, even death. Taking some time to think safety and clean up your workplace can make the difference between a safe and productive day and one you'd rather forget. Let's take a look at some basic things that you can do to protect yourself and your coworkers. One of the keys to accident prevention is to have a good safety attitude. You need to develop good safety habits, learn to use sound judgment, and exercise self-control. You can't let yourself get angry or frustrated when things don't go your way. And you need to know our body's limitations, just like you know its abilities. It may sound easy, but it takes some real thought and practice to learn to avoid mental and physical stress when you're on the job. You have to learn to pace yourself, recognize when you need to take a break, and never to bite off more than you can chew. Getting too comfortable with the job can also lead to accidents. When things become routine, we sometimes forget the hazards that are lurking around the next corner. That's when we need to remember to stay sharp. You should never let your body run on autopilot with your mind somewhere else. Don't let pressure to get the job done make you reckless either. You can't take chances with your safety or anyone else's. You can avoid risky actions by using sound judgment. For example, never disable or remove power tool or machine guards to speed up your routine. They're in place to help keep our hands and fingers safe. Lock on with anti-fall devices when working up high. Respect warning systems like smoke detectors and emergency lights. And follow company rules. There's a reason you should only smoke in designated areas. An open flame or hot ashes in an area where there might be flammable containers is definitely a bad idea. This might seem like a lot of things to keep in mind, but with a little work, they'll become second nature to you. Remember, developing a good safety attitude will go a long way to helping you prevent accidents. Another key to working safely is keeping your work area neat and clean and removing any hazards that you see. You need to recognize things that could cause problems and eliminate them before you begin work. Clutter is one of the major causes of accidents. It's like a hidden trap waiting to be sprung. For instance, many tripping accidents result from clutter in halls and walkways. To avoid potential problems, you should dispose of excess materials and rubbish as quickly as possible. Aisles and stairways should be free of debris and equipment. Remember not to store furniture or supplies there as well. Doorways should be kept clear too, especially emergency exits. Even small objects can be major hazards. A screw jutting out from a door sill, a pencil lying on the floor, a loose piece of carpet can all cause someone to hit the deck. Electrical cords can also be a problem. Stringing them haphazardly across walkways can lead to dangerous falls, so always tape them down. Factory and warehouse walkways should be clearly outlined, showing everyone where the safe paths are. Slippery areas should be well marked with hazard signs, so people will know to walk carefully. Open drawers can also be hazardous, and they can be difficult to spot. Keep them closed to prevent a painful trip to the floor. Let someone know about bad lighting immediately. If you can't see hazards, you can't fix or avoid them. Safety housekeeping isn't something that you should do every once in a while. You need to police your work area every day. And report all hazards as quickly as possible, but only remove a hazard if you've been properly trained to do so. If you don't know how to deal with something, leave it alone and get help. Using tools and equipment correctly and safely is another important part of accident prevention. First, make sure your tools are clean and in good working condition. Dirty or damaged equipment can cause accidents. For instance, knives and other cutting edges should be kept sharp. When a blade is dull, you have to use more force to make a cut, which can cause you to lose control. Always use the correct tool for the job. Using something like a screwdriver as a chisel can cause it to slip or break, and a wrench really shouldn't be used as a hammer. Never use a chair to get you up high. You may think you're saving time, but you're really creating a falling accident waiting to happen. Work safely by using a step stool ladder instead. When you're making repairs or performing maintenance on machinery, you should only use tools that have been designed to make these adjustments. If at all possible, maintenance should be done while all moving parts are stopped. It's too easy to catch a sleeve or a finger in a machine. Cut all power sources and follow proper lockout procedures. Supplies and equipment should be handled with care. Get a good grip when carrying things and take your time. Use proper lifting techniques to keep strain off your back. Back injuries can be too painful for words. Ask for help if an object is too heavy or bulky. Don't risk a serious accident. The best idea may be to use a hand truck or a forklift. Tool storage is important too. Return your tools to the cases, racks, or drawers they came from. Make sure they're clean and ready for use the next time you need them. And remember to put all guards back on before you put your tools away. A major part of safety housekeeping and accident prevention involves the chemicals you work around every day. You might be surprised at how many there are in your facility that might be hazardous. The chemicals in cleaners and disinfectants, soaps, even copier machine toners can all be dangerous if they're not handled correctly. Be sure to read labels and follow the instructions. Material safety data sheets are another good source of information about what types of hazards exist and how you can protect yourself while you're handling a substance. It's important to know where MSDSs are kept and how to use them. Sometimes you'll need to use personal protective equipment, such as safety goggles, gloves, or respirators when you work with chemicals. Check the MSDS and talk to your supervisor to see what you should do. When storing materials, read the label and the MSDS to determine what type of environment they need. Pay particular attention to temperature and ventilation requirements. There should be enough light in all storage areas so you can easily read container labels. Shelving should be strong and corrosion resistant. Never overstock shelves. Too many containers make it difficult to find what you want and increase the chance of a spill. Aisles should be wide enough to provide safe access to the chemicals and allow for easy movement. Materials that are flammable should be stored in UL-approved cans with spring-loaded caps, then placed in a flammable materials cabinet for safekeeping. Compressed gas cylinders should be firmly secured in a cool, dry, well-ventilated area. Storerooms should be fire-resistant and free from corrosive fumes. And never store food or drink in refrigerators containing potentially hazardous substances. It's too easy to confuse what's inside, and there's always the possibility of contamination. If a chemical spill occurs, you need to know what to do to both clean it up and dispose of it. The foremost concern with a spill is the health and safety of your coworkers. Evacuate the area if necessary, then notify proper personnel. The Substances Material Safety Data Sheet will provide you with information on proper cleanup and disposal. Remember, recommended procedures can be different for each chemical. If the substance is flammable or combustible, remove any open flame or source of heat from the area and provide adequate ventilation. Workers should wear appropriate personal protective equipment during spill cleanup. This will limit the chances of contact with the substance and keep them from breathing in harmful vapors. If the spill is a liquid, an absorbent solid should be used to soak up the chemical and remove it for later disposal. How you dispose of the chemical is also important. You need to know which substances you can safely put in the trash and which require special handling. Be extremely careful of chemicals that could become fire hazards, such as cleaning fluids, oily or solvent-soaked rags, and photocopier inks. Under certain conditions, these could all be real trouble. And be aware of chemicals which could react with one another if they are put together. Biological hazards found in laboratories, hospitals, and other facilities have special issues. Be wary of needles and other sharp objects. They could carry biological contaminants. Always dispose of these materials in special biohazard containers. Some chemicals may need to be removed by special waste disposal companies. See your supervisor to determine how to dispose of any chemicals you're working with. Some jobs don't require personal protective equipment at all. Others need it all the time. When there are hazards in your work area that you may not be able to avoid, PPE can be what saves you from a serious illness or injury. Gloves are needed for a number of tasks. There are many different types, so make sure you get the right gloves for the job you're doing. Leather gloves protect against rough materials and other hazards. If you're working with sharp objects, cut-resistant gloves may be what you need. Working with chemicals often requires rubber, vinyl, or neoprene gloves. See the material's MSDSs to determine the best fit. If you're handling hot materials, aluminized gloves are probably the right solution. There are also a number of situations that require eye protection. If you're working around flying particles or debris, safety glasses may be what you need. Dust or splashing liquids call for goggles. They seal tightly to your face so nothing can make its way to your eyes. In situations where splashing could be severe, a face shield may be needed as well. With chemicals that could splash or in extremely dusty environments, you may also need some type of protective clothing. Options range from ordinary work shirts and pants to aprons or even full chemical protective suits. Your supervisor will know which you should use. Environments that have falling object or overhead hazards call for hard hats and safety shoes. Shoes with metal toe guards provide the most protection. Safety shoes can also prevent accidents on wet and slippery surfaces. Different types of soles are designed to be used on different surfaces, so make sure you've got the correct match. A good safety attitude, keeping your work environment in order, knowing how to work with the tools and materials that you use, and recognizing how you need to protect yourself are all key to preventing accidents. Let's review. Develop a good, positive safety attitude. Know your abilities and your limitations. Keep your work area neat, clean, and hazard-free. Know how to use the tools and equipment you work with safely. Be aware of the hazardous materials in your environment and know how to handle them. Protect yourself. Know what PPE you should be using for the work that you do. Following these guidelines will help you do your best to avoid hazards, prevent accidents, and keep you and your coworkers safe all day, every day.